A warm welcome to TV Africa News and thank you for always joining us. This is Africa Today. My name is Najuma Lima, but first are the headlines. Museveni receives new Russian envoy. Tax operators demand old tax park be reopened. Democratic Republic of Congo court grants provisional release to former chief of staff. Ugandans invited to Tanzania for Independence Day celebrations. A warm welcome once again. Now the news in detail. The newly accredited ambassador of the Russian Federation, Mr. Vladimir Semivoros, yesterday presented his credentials to President Museveni at State House in Entebbe. We have more.
Mr. Semivoros revealed that a business delegation from Russia is set to visit Uganda to discuss available business opportunities in the country. He said Russia has cordial bilateral cooperation with Uganda and is willing to foster more development partnerships. Mr. Semivoros said that by next year, a Russian business association will visit Uganda to establish areas of investment, especially in coffee trade, information technology, and security. Mr. Semivoros was accompanied by the Chargé d'Affaires, Mr. Kalashnikov. The ceremony was attended by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, General Jeje Odong, and other officials. Uganda and Russia maintain a long history of cooperation in the fields of defense, education, energy, culture, trade, and investment. Uganda's bilateral trade with Russia has doubled over the last decade, from $30 million in 2009 to more than $74 million by the end of 2018. Much of the investment is in ICT and mining, respectively.
The leadership of tax drivers has asked Kampala Capital City Authority to hand over the old tax park in its present state, as they have suffered a lot while operating on the load side. Kampala City Council Authority has continuously extended the reopening of old tax park, claiming that they have other facilities to install in the park. Kachanchi reports.
Initially, the renovation of the old tax park was supposed to take only 3 months. After the delay in May 2021, however, up to date, the park is still out of bounds to the public. The tax operators have now asked Kampala Capital Authority to hand it back to them. One of the taxi operators' leaders, Mustafa Mayambala, said that their confidence in the authority has been shaken and asked why KCCA is now adding things that weren't in the plan initially. Kampala City Mayor Elias Lukwago directly accuses the KCCA Director Legal Affairs Caleb Mugisha of delaying the reopening of the park. Lukwago claims that in a 20th November council meeting, the matter of reopening the taxi park was brought up. However, the KCCA Legal Affairs Department derailed the suggestion. The Legal Affairs Wing says there are pending matters in court over the old taxi park. Lukwago further claims the leases for the land have expired. The 4.3 billion shillings that Kampala Capital City Authority used to renovate the old tax park was a grant from the Netherlands. Currently, all the former users of the facility are operating where they can on the roadside.
Vital Kamerhe, former chief of staff to Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi, has been granted provisional release from prison, where he was serving a 13-year sentence for embezzling $48 million in public funds, according to his lawyer.
Kamerhe started his sentence last year after becoming the most senior politician to face trial for graft in Democratic Republic of Congo, where high-level corruption is endemic. His lawyer Kabengera Ilunga told the media that a high court has granted his client provisional release, although he did not say why Kamerhe was being released or on what terms. Kamerhe was initially sentenced to 20 years behind bars in June 2020. The case relates to the government's 100 days program and an amount of $50 million that Kamerhe and a business associate are accused of misappropriating. At the time of his trial, Kamerhe denied stealing money earmarked for social housing under Tshisekedi's flagship 100-day building program. Vital Kamerhe's party, UNC, part of the ruling coalition supporting President Tshisekedi, has denounced the case as politically motivated, threatening political consequences.
Let's take a short break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. Residents of Banjul, at the capital of the Gambia, are reacting to the news of Adama Barrow's re-election for a second term as president. President Barrow easily beat out his main competition, Wasaino Dabo of the United Democratic Party, who received about 28% of the vote.
The incumbent candidate won more than 53% of the vote according to the results released by the Electoral Commission. Thousands of people took to the streets to celebrate Barrow's re-election late Sunday evening when the chairman of the IEC, Ali Momanji, announced the results and prayed for peace to prevail in the nation of about 2.4 million people. Gambians now expect Adama Barrow to bring something better to the West African nation, including the creation of more jobs for the young. For Algier Fatah, a private driver, this is a new opportunity to make things better. Barrow from the National People's Party emerged victorious with a majority of votes cast. UPD's Dabawi was credited with 233 votes, and Mama Kendi of the Gambia Moral Congress Party came in third according to the results announced by the IEC. The results, however, have already been contested by 4 opposition leaders, including Dabawi and Kandi. According to a statement from the parties, they were concerned about an inordinate delay in the announcement of results. Nearly 860,000 Gambians voted on Saturday, a high number that shows a determination for many to exercise their democratic rights as demands for justice in the post-Yahya Jammeh era. Barrow emerged victorious in 2016 as the candidate for an opposition coalition that tested the 22-year rule of Jammeh.
Thousands of Sudanese took to the streets on Monday, the capital of Khartoum, and other cities in the latest protests against the October military coup and a subsequent deal that reinstated Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok.
Footage circulated on social media supposedly showed demonstrators marching in different locations in Khartoum and its sister cities of Omdurman. There were also protests in other cities including Kassala, Sena and Port Sudan. Security forces fired tear gas to disperse protesters marching in a street near the presidential palace in Khartoum. There were no immediate reports of casualties. In past rounds of demonstrations, security forces used violence, including live ammunition, against protesters, according to the activists. At least 44 protesters have been killed and hundreds wounded since the coup, according to the Sudan Doctors Committee. The Sudanese military seized power on October 25th, dissolving the transitional government and rearresting dozens of officials and politicians. Hamdok was reinstated last month amid international pressure in a deal that calls for an independent technocratic cabinet under military oversight. The agreement included the release of government officials and politicians detained since the coup and the formation of an independent technocratic cabinet led by Hamdok. The deal, however, was rejected by the pro-democracy movement, which insists on handing over power to a civilian government to lead the transition. The protests came under the slogan of no negotiations, no compromise, no power sharing with the military.
Moving on, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa and Senegalese President Macky Sall have expressed their displeasure towards rich countries over travel bans imposed on them since the country announced the discovery of a new coronavirus variant, Omicron. This was during the opening of the 7th edition of the Dakar International Forum on Peace and Security in Africa on Monday. Senegalese President Macky Sall called for unity amongst world leaders at a time like this in order to fight the pandemic. The president said that they must continue to act together in solidarity during this pandemic, which is affecting all the countries, adding that this must bring them together on the side of solidarity instead of adding a new divide between rich and poor countries. Ramaphosa tasked rich countries to rather help in finding a solution to the global crisis, but not to punish poor nations. Ramaphosa said that the whites basically will not allow people to travel around and Omicron is spreading all over the world. He accused rich countries of giving only the crumbs to poor nations in their distributions of the vaccines. At the end of November, a team of South African researchers announced that they had detected a new variant of COVID-19, Omicron. The reaction was immediate. Many countries closed their borders, putting Southern Africa on the world map within hours. Let's once again take a very quick short break. We will be right back. In our business news today, textile, African fashion accessories and manufacturing machines have been introduced to visitors at the 6th African Textile and Fashion Fair in Addis Ababa, the capital city of Ethiopia. The 3-day fair opened on Friday, December 3rd.
With over 291 exhibitors from 27 countries, participants are meeting African and international industry players, exploring partnerships and business opportunities to build long-term partnerships. Fashion is big business in Africa, with the industry evolving significantly over the last years. The combined apparel and footwear market in sub-Saharan Africa is estimated to be worth $31 billion, according to data from Euromonitor International. Analysts note that several countries on the continent are contributing to the African footwear revolution, including Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, and Nigeria. Ethiopia, for instance, is ranked in the top 10 of leather exporting countries worldwide, and in 2018 was able to generate considerable income from shoe exports.
In our health news today, new data from the World Health Organization has revealed that the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted malaria services, leading to an increase in cases and deaths. We have more on this report. According to the report, there were an estimated 241 million malaria cases and 627,000 malaria deaths worldwide in 2020, which represents about 14 million more cases in 2020 compared to 2019 and 69,000 more deaths. Approximately 2/3 of these additional deaths, equaling to 47,000, were linked to disruptions in the provision of malaria prevention, diagnosis, and treatment during the pandemic. Director for Global Malaria Program, World Health Organization, Dr. Pedro Alonso, explained that in this year's World Malaria Report, they recognized that neither in terms of reduction of deaths or reduction of cases are making any further progress. Since 2015, the baseline date for World Health Organization's global malaria strategy, 24 countries have registered increases in malaria deaths. In the 11 countries that carry the highest burden of malaria worldwide, cases increased from 150 million in 2015 to 163 million cases in 2020, and malaria deaths increased from 390,000 to 600,000 over that same period. As part of interventions to reduce the infection rate, the World Health Organization earlier this year recommended a first-generation malaria vaccine to be deployed broadly to children living in areas of moderate to high transmission. Sub-Saharan Africa countries to carry the heaviest malaria burden, accounting for about 95% of all malaria cases and 96% of all deaths in 2020. In our sports news today, Uganda Cranes will be part of Tanzania's Usiku ya Huru, the Independence Day celebrations, after getting invited for a friendly game. The two East African nations will face off at the National Stadium in Dar es Salaam on Thursday.
With Tanzania getting her independence on 9th December 1961, Thursday's celebrations will be commemorating 60 years. Despite getting an abrupt invite, Uganda Cranes head coach Milutin Michos Rejovic had been able to summon 18 players, majority of whom are on the fringes at their respective clubs. Micho thanked the coaches that have stretched and allowed him to use some of the players, bearing in mind that the league has not been stopped, adding that there are games on Tuesday and then on Friday. Yet the game against Tanzania will be played on Thursday, but they have given the players a green light to join the national team. The coach indicates that this game will help to widen the pool of players as preparations for the 2022 African Nations Championship qualifiers commence. He said that they have started preparations for the qualification campaign of CHAN 2022 in Algeria. This gives us the opportunity to widen the pool of players. Some of the summoned players include goalkeepers Joel Mutakuba of Express Football Club and Jack Komakech from Vipers Sports Club. Defenders include James Begisa of Uganda People's Defence Forces, Ibrahim Juma of KCCA, Najib Faisal of Uganda Revenue Authority, Joseph Bright Vuni of Warua Hillside Sports Club, and Farouk Katongole of Uganda Revenue Authority. Midfielders include George Kasonko of Bull FC, John Biamukama of Express Football Club, Joseph Akandwanaho of Express Football Club, Travis Mutiaba of Sports Club Villa, while forwards include Ivan Asaba of Vipers Sports Club, Alfred Leku of Arua Hill, Samuel Senyonjo of KCCA, and Patrick Kadu has no club attachments at the moment.
That was the news. Thank you for always keeping it TV Africa. Please do stay tuned. More programming coming your way.